Istorya man ni sir. Okay, so good day, and this is the continuation of our discussions regarding the parasitic agent of plant diseases, and we move on our topic in mycoplasma. Mycoplasma is belong to the replicating bacteria wherein lack of cell wall. So pareha sila sa bacteria, hiniwalay lang siya as pathogenic agent kasi nga merong unique characteristic ang mycoplasma na wala sa bacteria. So, the cells contain the minimum set of organelles that essential for growth and replications. Wherein it consists of a double-stranded circular DNA molecule. Okay? So, that is for mycoplasma. So, we have types of mycoplasma. Number one is the phytoplasma. So this is a previously called the amylose, and so or mycoplasma-like organisms. So it is a disease of vegetable crops that are characterized by the symptoms such as a little leaves, phyllodes, flower berries, big buds, and witch's broom. So kapag sinabi nating phytoplasma, instead ng mag-grow ay flower, ang nag-grow is leaves or nagkakaroon ng chlorophyll substance wherein ay nagkakaroon ng photosynthetic or abnormal photosynthetic activity during the bloom of the flower wherein ang mga phytoplasma natin kinakain nila mismo yung cell or kinocolonize nila yung cell na kung saan ang mag-bloom sana ay flower pero ang nagbo-bloom is leaves or mga stagnant leaves, yung mga maliliit or stunted leaves. So this is the life cycle of phytoplasma. As you can see, once na yung insect natin ay nag-sup sa isang plants na infected by the phytoplasma or the mycoplasma, ang unang-unang i-colonize ng pathogen is the insect. So parang nagiging zombie yung insect natin. Once na nagiging zombie at nag-multiply doon sa mismong insect natin, what happened? So, nagiging voracious yung insect. Ay para siyang aso na baliw na aso na kung saan saan siya pumupunta. So, ganun yung mga insect natin. So, yung infectious na leafhopper ay magsasap sa healthy plants, and then the sap or kaya yung stylet ng insect will sup the phloem cell. And then the phloem cell, doon na maiiwan yung mga particle ng phytoplasma. Okay? So after that, may infect na rin yung plants natin. So nagkakaroon ng susceptibility ng plants. So mamamatay yung mismong plants due to these diseases or this phytoplasma. So tignan natin ha. So yung insect ang unang i-infect. After ma-infect yung mismong insect, that's the time na mai-infect na din yung disease plant. So, nagiging zombie type yung insect. And then we have also the spiroplasma. So kapag sinabi nating spiroplasma, this is a group of small bacteria without cell walls. So the spiroplasma share the simple metabolism or the parasitic lifestyle, the fried egg colony, morphology, and small genome of other molecules. So as you can see, ang nangyayari naman sa spiroplasma, instead na bubuo yung mismong fruit, ang nangyayari ay nag-freeze yung development ng fruit. And then, agad-agad nagkakaroon ng maturity yung fruit. Even though hindi pa na-develop yung kanyang seeds. Ito yung normal seeds, ito naman yung abnormal na development ng seeds kasi nga mas pinaaga niyang immature or mas pinaaga yung maturity ng mismong fruit ng mga citrus natin. Kaya kapag ganito, under development, or immature yung kanyang development, ganito yung magiging outcome. So, hindi siya fully developed. Okay? So, meron tayong mga disease caused by mycoplasma. Number one is the witch's broom or ash yellows. So, it is a mycoplasma disease that is component of the complex disease called ash decline. So, Ang carrier ng disease na witch's broom is the Eriophid mites, mistletoe, and due to the environmental damage or a mutation in vegetative cell that may also cause witch's broom. So as you can see yung kasaba natin, ganito ang itsura ng witch's broom. Ang nagkakaroon na lang ng leaves or normal leaves is the upper part, while in the lower part is maliit na lang yung mga leaves or something na stunted yung development ng leaves in the other side of the stem ng ating kasaba. Ganon din sa mga puno, pag ganito na mismo yung itsura niya, so it means ay because of witch's broom, ano, or mycoplasma. Another one is the phyllody or the infectious phyllody. This is the abnormal development of the floral wherein ay instead na mag-bloom ng flower, ang nangyayari, ang nagbo-bloom ay green petals instead of color petals. Okay? So it is generally caused by phytoplasma, though it may also be because of the environmental factor that result in the imbalance of the plant hormone. So ang nagkukos dito or ang vector ng infectious phyllody is the leafhopper that can spread the various mycoplasmas throughout the planting during feeding. So the aster yellow and green petals or the emelos are two mycoplasmas induced diseases that also cause a phyllody. So kapag sinabi nating phyllody, ay yung development ng flower ay hindi nagsasucceed. Okay? Wherein ang nangyayari, yung petals niya nagiging green and then ang liliit ng mismong flower. Diba? So ganito yung itsura ng phyllody. So mas mataas ang auxin niya kaysa ethylene. Okay? Mas mataas yung auxin kapag merong disease na phyllody. Next one is the yellows. When the chlorophyll disappear completely from the host tissue, the organ turn yellow and the symptoms are known as yellows. So these are characteristic symptoms of the Mycoplasma plant disease. As you can see, nagkakaroon ng necrotic yellows sa pinaka-midrib ng leaves or kaya doon sa gilid ng leaves ng ating plants. So ang nangyayari pag ganito is caused by the Mycoplasma yellows. Okay? Next, we have the big bud. Kapag sa big bud naman, ito yung mga sakit ng tomato and the fruit-bearing shoots. Instead na flower yung mag-bloom, ang nangyayari, nag-extend pa siya ng bud. Abnormal, no? Abnormal yung kanyang development. Isipin na lang natin, kapag mycoplasma is ini-increase niya ang auxin level. Kapag kasi sinabi nating auxin, growth developer kasi yon. During maturity ng mismong plants, that's the time na i-infect itong mycoplasma. Pag nag-infect itong mycoplasma, nagre-release siya ng auxin or something na ini-increase niya yung development ng auxin. Kaya nakikita ninyo merong mga shoot development na instead na mag-fruit development na siya. So it means ay nag-freeze yung development niya sa flowering stage. Ang ginagawa niya is ine-extend niya ang growth development. Nag-i-increase ng size, nag-i-increase ng height, ano? So ganun yung ginagawa ng mycoplasma. In a big bud, it thickened and malformed into thick dark green structure. So as you can see, instead sana na flower na yung idinidevelop nung mismong tomato, nag-extend pa siya ng branches. So big bud of tomato caused by mycoplasma. Next, punta naman tayo sa parasitic agent of the plant disease in fungi. So kapag sinabi nating fungi, they are non-chlorophyll bearing microorganism. But you know that fungi is tinutularan niya yung plants. Ano? They want to become a chlorophyll absorber but hindi kayang gawin ni fungi. Kasi tignan niyo yung fungi, ano? So yung structure ng fungi, gustong-gusto niyang tularan yung mismong structure ng plants. Pero ang kulang lang kasi sa fungi, it cannot absorb a chlorophyll kasi wala naman siyang green pigment. So branch filamentous vegetative structure called the mycelium. So meron siyang branch filamentous, ng tawag mo ay mycelia or mycelium. So ito, mycelium ang mga yan. May dalawa tayong klase ng mycelium. We have the septate and the coinocytic. Kapag sinabi nating septate, ito yung cross walls or merong sanga-sanga. Septate ang tawag doon. Pero kapag coinocytic naman, ito yung continuous lang yung mycelia. Okay, wala siyang branches. So yung mycelium, septate means cross walls, and then coinocytic naman, ito yung meaning, diretso lang yung mycelium during development before siya mag-grow as a mushroom. Yan. So it possesses true nuclei and cell walls. And did you know that fungi has a 100,000 known fungus species? And ang mga fungi natin saprophytic. Kapag sinabi natin saprophytic or saprophytic, uh, they prefer dead organic matter or namumuhay sila sa mga dead organic matter. Karamihan ay mga fungi. Okay? Pero kapag mga virus naman, gustong-gusto nila yung living organism, no? Mga living organism sila mas nabubuhay. So, we have also the citrus stubborn disease. Kapag sinabi nating citrus stubborn disease, it infect the phloem of the affected plant causing fruit deformities caused by spiroplasma. So, nagkamali lang ako dito guys ha. So, itong citrus stubborn disease is belong pa rin siya sa mycoplasma. Okay? So, we're in yung development niya ng fruit is hindi successive. Okay? So, meron tayong mga signs of the fungal diseases. Number one is the mycelia. Kapag sinabi nating mycelia, ulitin natin, they are mass of branch, tubular filament, or meron silang contain of hyphae. Yung hyphae kasi is a tubular filament of the fungi. So, masasabi mong merong fungal diseases or fungal when there is spores. Kasi ang spores natin, they are propagative body which may be formed asexually or sexually. And meron din siyang fruiting bodies containing the spores which are dispersed for reproduction. So, ang ginagamit ng fungi para makapag-reproduce pa for another form of colony is the spores. Kaya ang pinaka-seed type or seed-like type ng mga fungi natin is the spores to develop another form of colony. Okay? Spores. So, ang fruiting bodies naman, ito yung nandoon yung spores natin. So, siya yung nagdadala doon sa spores. Fruiting bodies. But the seed-like structure ng fungus natin para makapag-reproduce siya to form another colony is the spores. Ano? Spores. So, meron tayong mga diseases caused by the fungus. Number one is the late blight of potato or Phytophthora infestans. Okay? This is responsible for the Irish famine caused by the starvation and death and mass migration of the populations. So that is for late blight of potato. So ganito yung kanyang itsura wherein ay kinocolonize niya yung buong fruit, nasisira yung buong fruit and then nagkakaroon ng mga spores or molds. Kakaroon ng parang molds. And then, we have also the Dutch elm disease or Ceratocystis ulmi. Ceratocystis ulmi or elm tree wherein namamatay yung kalahating katawan ng mismong puno. So once na namatay yung kalahating katawan, merong Dutch elm disease. And then yung kalahati naman, buhay pa naman. No? So nagkakaroon ng Dutch elm disease. And we have also the black stem roots of black stem rust of wheat or the Puccinia graminis. So ang black stem rust is magaspang. Kapag i-fill method mo siya, rough siya. Okay? Kaya kapag rough ito, it means ay hypertrophy or hyperplasia yung kanyang structure wherein ay bububukol siya. Okay? And then we have also the coffee rust. So ang nako-consume dito is yung kanyang epidermal pile. Kaya nasisira mismo yung buong plants. Kapag na-consume yung epidermal part, mamamatay yung mga cells na nandito. So, hindi na siya magpo-proceed for development. So, mag-wilt na lang siya, mag-yellowing, mamamatay. Kasi yung absorption niya ng nutrients napupunta na mismo sa fungi and not for the plants. And then we have also the Cofferas or the Hemilia basatrix. So this is most destructive disease of coffee and has caused devastating losses in all coffee producing countries, ang ating coffee rust. So ganito yung itsura ng coffee rust. Doon sa pinakalikod ng leaves, makikita mong merong orange na kulay and that is hyperplasia. So lumalaki siya or something na kinokonsume niya yung epidermal part. And then tumitigas din yung kanyang or parang nagmamamified yung kanyang fruits. And we have also the white pine blister rust or the Cronartium rubicola. This is one of the most important forest disease in the United States. Currant is the alternate host and its eradication is an important control measures. So, kayang-kaya namang i-control ang fungi. Ang hindi lang kayang i-control is the virus. Kasi once na nakapag-establish na ng virus or viroid in the RNA or DNA of the plants, ang tanging lang solusyon doon is uprooting of that infected plants. So ganito yung white pine blister rust. Para siyang dumudugo na nagre-release ng latex or ng anong tawag doon? Ng parang tubig sa kanyang katawan. So pag ganito na yung nangyayari, maaring mamamatay yung plants natin. And then we have also the corn smut or the Ostilagomydes. So it occurs wherever corn is grown and may cause serious crop damage. So as you can see, itong corn smut na ito, mostly sa kanyang bunga or sa fruits. So yung instead na kernel yung mag-develop, ang nagde-develop is large kernel of smut. So parang tinutularan niya mismo kung ano yung structure ng kernel. Pero ang laki ng kanyang structure. Mas malaki ito sa kernel. 'Di ba? Para siyang finger type pag titignan natin. So ito ay type ng mushroom. Ang corn smut kasi is a type of mushroom wherein sa ibang bansa ay kinokonsume nila as food. Okay? Loose smut or Stolago nuda. Ito naman ay mga diseases ng barley, ng oats, ng wheat, wherein yung buong kernel ng mismong barley or wheat or oats ay nagkakaroon ng development or colonizing ng ating fungi. So tumitigas siya. And then nagpa-powder or something na merong powder-like shape or powder-like. Okay? And then we have also the downy mildew. So yung downy mildew is yung pumuputi yung mais. 'Di ba? Once na pumuti yung mais, meron siyang type ng downy mildew. Ganon din sa mga watermelon. Once na nagkaroon ng whitish color yung mismong leaves, so there is infection of downy mildew. And then we have also the powdery mildew. Ang pinagkaiba ng downy mildew sa powdery mildew, kapag downy mildew, hindi mo nakikita yung structure ng spores, but rather ay nakikita mo morphologically na nagbabago yung kanyang kulay. Green, yung green ay nagiging puti. So it turns white. And then we have powdery mildew. So the powdery mildew is many species of the family Ericipaceae, wherein ay susceptible ito sa mga susceptible sa powdery mildew ang mga cucurbits and also yung mga rosaceae or sa rosas. Okay, as you can see, makikita mo yung powder na nandun mismo kumakapit sa epidermal part ng leaves ng mga plants natin. And then once na ito ay anong tawag doon? Niyanig mo or something, shinake mo siya. So, makikita mo yung mga spores na lumilipad or something nahuhulog doon sa leaves. And then we have also the apple scab or the Venturia iniqualis. So, it occurs almost everywhere. Okay, ang apple scab. So ano yung itsura ng scab ng apple? So nagde-develop siya ng parang hard shriveled na spot doon sa mismong fruit. So ganyan yung tinatawag na scab. Karamihan naman na susceptible sa ganitong skin disease ng mga fruit is yung guava sa Pilipinas. Tignan niyo yung guava sa Pilipinas, once na nagkaroon ng scab ay on that particular part lang. Pero hindi naman infected yung buong fruits. 'Di ba? So it means ay hindi niya nako-consume lahat. Okay? And then we have also the black spot of rose or Diplocarpon rosea. So classified as an anthracnose which affect the leaves, stem, and fruits of many plants. So ganito ang black spot or considered as an anthracnose in roses. Okay? And then anthracnose of grapes or Elsine ampelina. So sa mga grapes and sa mga mango and pepper, ganito ang infection ng anthracnose. Sa fruits ng pepper, tignan nyo, nagkakaroon ng lesions or spot or necrotic spot wherein yung buong fruits ay pwedeng masira. Okay? Nectria canker. Yan. Ang Nectria canker or causative agent Nectria galligena. It is one of the most important disease of pear apple and hardwood forest trees. So ganito yung canker. So makikita nyo ito sa mga santol and then sa mga puno. Especially doon sa scalp ng puno. 'Di ba? Makikita nyo sa scalp ng puno. So once na ni fill method mo siya, merong rough or roughened yung kanyang structure or yung pag-fill mo. Okay? So, tignan nyo ito. Kapag may iba ng kulay dito, instead na brown, ay merong nag-orange, nag-yellow, nag-gray. It is because of the fungal infection. And then we have also the brown rat or the Monilinia fructicola or stone fruits. So, and then soft rat or Rhizophus species. Okay? So, ganito yung rat or brown rat. And this is the Rhizophus soft rat. So as you can see, may nakikita kang parang mga spores or molds. So once na may makikita kang mga molds, gaya din nito, it means ay caused by fungi. Kasi may molds. And then we have also the Fusarium wilt of tomato or Fusarium oxysporium. So one of the most destructive disease of tomato in the entire field that can be destroyed. The yield. Yan, pinapababa niya yung yield. So ang Fusarium wilt, yung buong plants ay nagkaroon ng wilting. Yan. Once na nagkaroon ng wilting, it is because of the weather, the pathogen. So kapag pathogen, either fungi or bacteria. Pero kapag ito namatay during tag-ulan, ang pwedeng mag-infect diyan is bacteria. Pero kapag namatay ito during drought or dry season, it is because of the fungi. Ano? So madami palang pwedeng maging susceptibility or madaming threats ang mga plants natin na kung saan pwedeng bumaba ang yield. And then we have also the wilt of vegetable, flowers, and some trees or the verticillium species. So ganito ang itsura ng verticillium species or wilting wherein ay pwedeng mag-wilt sa taas or sa baba ng mga plants natin. Okay? So punta naman tayo sa parasitic agent of plant diseases under nematodes. So nematodes are multicellular animals. So it means this pathogen considered as part of the animalia. Okay? This is only the pathogen that is part in the kingdom Animalia because they are multicellular animals that can shed their cuticle. Okay, so meron siyang cuticle and it feed on all parts of the plants. And they live freely in fresh or salt water or in the soil. So pwede silang mamuhay sa mga fresh water, sa salt water, or in the soil. So mas preferred kasi ng nematodes sa sandy soil. Kasi nga, mas mataas kasi ang aeration. Kapag sinabi nating aeration, mas preferred niya doon sa may air. Ayaw ng nematode sa mga compact soil. Gaya sa mga rice, 'di ba? Sa rice field, compact yung mga soil doon dahil clay. So, mamamatay si nematodes doon, hindi siya makakasurvive. Pero kapag silty and sandy soil, mas preferred yun ni nematodes na mag-thrive. Kasi nga, may aeration or may air or daanan. So, meron tayong apat na stages or juvenile stages ng ating juvenile. Juvenile stages ng ating nematodes. Number one is the juvenile one. So, juvenile one is egg. Saan na yung juvenile one? So, this is juvenile one. So, the juvenile one is developing egg or releasing of egg. So after that, in the juvenile 2 naman, ito na yung pinaka-infectious stage. Bakit? Kasi nga very voracious ang ating nematodes during juvenile 2. Bakit? Kasi nga kailangan niya ng kumain. Pero kapag siya ay ready na for copulation, yun na yung tinatawag nating juvenile 3. Or there is so-called migration. From outside the roots, papasok siya sa loob, ang tawag doon is juvenile 3. So, ready for copulation. And then, juvenile 4 naman, ito yung maturation. Kapag sinabi nating maturation, ready to lay egg. Okay, so maglilay na siya ng egg, manganganak na siya. So, saan siya manganganak? Sa likod or sa loob mismo ng roots. Okay, juvenile 1 is egg. Juvenile 2 is this is the immature stage of the nematodes or immature or infectious stage. Very voracious. Kaya nga dapat ang i-control natin dito, ang pwedeng dapat mamatay dito or dapat nating mai-control during juvenile 2 kasi nga very voracious sa diyan. Kapag juvenile 3 and juvenile 4, hindi na sila kumakain diyan. Naghahanap na sila ng mapapangasawa at mangingitlog na sila. Diba? So maturation means juvenile 4. Okay? So meron tayong mga types ng nematodes. So meron tayong dalawang klase ng types ng nematodes. We have the ectoparasite and endoparasite. Kapag sinabi naman nating ecto means ito yung mga nematodes na hindi pumapasok sa loob ng roots or do not enter to the roots. Ano yung mga example ng mga ectoparasite na mga nematodes? Number one is the sting nematodes. So ang sting nematode is a nematode feeding and kills the root's meristem and halts root growth. So ang mga example ng mga sting nematode natin are the Belonolimus longicudatus. So ang symptoms niya, irregular, discolored, and thinning patches on plants. And it it do not respond to the fungicide, irrigation, fertilizer, or aeration and become overrun by weeds. So, as you can see, hindi na mismo lumalaki yung isang plants. Wherein kinomsum niya na yung nodule. So, ang mga sting nematode, kinakain niya mismo yung mga nodule na instead ang mag-grow is the fruit of peanut, pero kinokonsume niya yung mga uh, roots or rooting system ng ating legumes. And then we have also the pin nematode. Kapag sinabi nating pin nematode, this is the smallest of all the nematode types and easily detect and move towards plant roots. So mga example ng mga pin nematodes natin are the Paretylenchus species and the Gracilacus, wherein ay easily to detect and move towards the plant roots. Example sana, ito yung Bermuda grass. Doon sa Bermuda grass, kapag merong patchy type or mga patchy na namamatay, it is because of the pin nematodes. Ano? So, pin nematode, kaya tinawag siyang pin kasi siya yung pinaka-smallest. 'Di ba? Yung mga pin natin or yung ginagamit natin for pangtusok sa mga decorations, or kaya sa mga lamesa natin, yun yung mga pin, di ba? So, considered as smallest of all the nematodes, yung pin. And then we have also the dagger nematodes. Ang dagger nematode ay it insert its long stylet deep into the root while the body remains outside the roots. So it means ang ini-insert niya lang sa loob ng roots is their stylet. And the half of their body remains outside. So ang mga example nito ay yung Cyphinema diversicodatum. So ang symptoms niya, it damages the meristematic root tip and it destroy the root cells and reduces the root volume. So yung terminal galling of the roots of woody plants is found. As you can see, merong mga galli type. Ang target ng mga dagger nematodes ay mga fruit trees. No? Yung mga trees natin. Wherein, pag i-dissect mo na later on yung trees, especially yung kanyang roots, merong mga galli or galling roots. And then we have also the needle nematodes. So as you can see, the needle nematode is the longest plant parasitic nematodes. Longest siya, needle nematode. So 6 to 8 millimeters found in Michigan and they possess very long stylet. So ang mga example ng mga needle nematode ay yung Longidorus elongatus. No, kaya nga tinawag siyang long kasi nga yung kanyang genus pa lang Longidorus. So symptoms, patches of yellow and stunted corn seedling early in growing. So as you can see, kapag early growing pa lang siya, pwedeng magkaroon ng mga simple galing. And then yung kanyang roots or yung kanyang mga roots ay nababawasan na or hindi na siya lumalaki. Next, we have also that is for the ectoparasitic, ano? And then, another one is the migratory endoparasitic. Kapag sinabi nating migratory endoparasitic, migrates within the hulls and or between the soil and the hulls. So it means, ito yung mga pumasok from outside the soil to inside the roots. Migratory endoparasitic. So, ang mga example ng mga migratory is yung lesion nematodes. So, kapag lesion nematode, it is a soil-borne. So, kapag sinabi nating soil-borne, yun ay nakatira mismo sa lupa wherein hindi siya namatay during land preparation, pwedeng makapag-infect sa loob ng plants. So, plant parasitic roundworms that may cause damage in corn, long microscopic worm-like animals that extract the nutrients from plants causing yield loss. So, ang mga example ng mga lesion nematodes natin is yung Pratylencus penetrans and yung Pratylencus brachyorius. Okay? Now, that is lesion nematodes. Another one is yung burrowing nematodes. So anong nangyayari sa ating banana? Nagkakaroon ng toppling disease and yellow disease of pepper and spreading decline citrus. Ang mga example ng mga burrowing nematodes natin ay yung Rhadophilus similis. As you can see, dito sa picture, bigla-bigla na lang natutumba yung saging. Once na natumba yung saging, it means there is burrowing nematodes. So kinakain niya mismo yung portion ng roots and then on the tip of the roots, namamatay siya or nagkakaroon ng decomposition. Nade-decompose, umiitim, at hindi na siya lumalaki. And then we have also the lance nematode. So lance nematode is above the ground symptoms include yellowing, stunting, and sometimes death of plants. So they feed both external and internal on soybean roots. So the nematodes remains worm-like. Ganito yung itsura niya throughout its life cycle. Or yung tinatawag nating vermiform. So para siyang vermiform. So the cotton, soybean, corn, small grains, and several weeds and grasses are known a host for these nematodes, the lance nematodes. So ang mga example ng mga lance nematodes natin ay yung Hoplolimus galeatus. Okay? And then we have also the spiral nematodes or small necrotic lesion on roots and with heavy infestation. So this lesion coalescence leading to root necrosis and dieback of roots. So plant stunting and reduction in yield can result spiral. Okay? So ang mga example ng mga spiral nematodes natin are Helicotylenchus pseudorobustus, Helicotylenchus dihistra, Helicotylenchus multicinctus. So yan yung mga example ng mga migratory endoparasites. Another one is the stem and bulb nematodes. Ito naman yung mga migratory endoparasitic natin na kung saan ang target nila ay yung mga bulb and stem or yung mga onions. It feed on cell near the basal root plate of the garlic plants. So as they feed, they inject enzymes into the cell and it break down the cell wall resulting for rotting. So nagra-rotting yung mismong bulb. Okay? Nagra-rotting. So kinukonsume niya mismo yung roots. Once na kinokonsume niya yung roots, ang nangyayari ay uh, nadadamage yung bulb ng isang plants. And then we have also the foliar nematodes. Kapag sinabi nating foliar nematodes, mostly sa leaves, especially yung mga droopy leaves ng mga plants natin. These are microscopic worm-like organism in the genus Aphelencoides and they live in and on the leaves. So it means yung mga droopy leaves natin, pwedeng abutin yan ng mga nematodes natin and then i-consume nila or ita-target nila yung mismo yung mga leaves. And then, punta naman tayo sa sedentary endoparasites. Kapag sinabi nating sedentary endoparasites, burrow into the roots. So, mga example dito ay yung root knot nematodes. So, ang mga root knot, they are microscopic roundworm that live in the soil and on the plant roots. And it causes the roots to produce characteristic like yung nagsuswelling or nagkakaroon ng galls which are easily distinguishable from nitrogen-fixing nodules. So as you can see, yung buong roots nagkaroon na ng nodules. Instead na nodules talaga na bunga, in return ay mga galls. Okay, ang mga example nito ay Meloidogyne species. Okay, ito yung pinakasikat na nematodes about the Meloidogyne species. Another one is the cyst nematodes, so known as a golden nematode, and it is particularly severe on the potato, tomato, and eggplant, and it damages the vascular tissues. And it contains hundreds of eggs. So it means ginagamit nila yung roots to lay eggs. Yan. So ang mga example ng mga cyst nematodes ay yung mga Globodera rostuchensis, Heterodera avinae. So yan yung mga example ng cyst nematodes. Another one is the reniform nematodes, wherein this plant parasitic nematode that feed on the plant root using retractable, hollow, spear-like mouthparts causing plant stunting. So ang nangyayari, example sana yung mga root crops natin, instead na maganda yung formations ng root or nung mismong kamote or yung kasaba, nagiging rough siya or something nagka-crop. Bakit? Because of the reniform nematodes. So, ito yung abnormal structure or abnormal shape nung mismong sweet potato. Okay? Nagka-crop. And then we have also the citrus nematodes. So kapag sinabi natin citrus nematodes, more on citrus. So kinokonsume niya yung mga citrus. Especially nagkakaroon ng dieback of twigs and branches in many groups. Ang mga example ng mga citrus nematodes natin ay mga Tylenculus semipenetrans. So that is for uh, nematodes. So ano yung mga ginagamit natin na mga tools to detect kung merong nematodes doon? So ang ginagamit natin is the Berman funnel method. So Berman funnel method is a device used to extract nematodes from the soil sample or plant material. So ganito yung kanyang itsura wherein finifilter muna yung mismong soil. And then meron siyang PVC tube. And then dito sa funnel, dadaan mismo yung nematodes. And then ini-squeeze siya. So it means dito sa part na ito, there is a silicone hose. And then yung silicone hose will responsible for, ang tawag doon, responsible in the nematode. Ano? na bababa mismo doon sa squeeze clip. So this is a drinking water. And then pagbaba dito, wala na yung tubig, kundi yung nematode na lang ang mahuhulog. So meron siyang mga filter type. And then, another one na ginagamit natin to see yung mismong nematodes is yung tinatawag na sieving method. So it performed to separate a sample based on its particle size by submitting it to the mechanical force from larger mesh up to fine mesh. And then dun sa fine mesh, doon mo na makikita yung mga nematodes. Okay? So, sieving method. From larger component ng soil up to fine o yung pinakapino. Doon sa pinakapino, doon mo na mismo madedetect yung nematodes. Okay? Another one is parasitic flowering plant as a plant pathogen. So nagiging parasitic agent din pala ang plants na kung saan sila mismo yung nagiging dependent doon sa hosts. Kaya kinoconsume na din nila yung nutrients. So it means detachable sila. Dinedetach nila yung sarili nila doon sa mismong branch ng hosts. So 2,500 species of higher plants are known to be live parasitically on other plants. So magkaiba yung parasite sa commensalism. Ano kapag sinabi kasi natin commensal or commensalism, they depends on the host but they don't affect the life cycle of that particular host. Tama ba? And then kapag sinabi natin parasite naman, they depend on the host and at the same time, they infect the life cycle of that particular host. Kinokonsume niya yung nutrients, kinokonsume niya yung water, and then nakikipag-compete siya sa light. Ano? Na instead ang mag-absorb ay yung mismong main hosts or the host. Pero dito, itong mga parasitic flowering plant, hindi sila considered as commensal. Kasi kapag commensalism, ang mga example nun ay yung mga plants na dumidepende sa host pero hindi sila nakakaapekto sa development ng hosts. Okay? Vascular plants that have developed specialized organ which penetrate the tissue of other vascular plants. And it absorb nutrients of host and have a chlorophyll but no roots so they depends on their host only for water and minerals. So ang mga example ng mga parasitic flowering plants is yung Cuscutaceae. Kapag sinabi natin Cuscutaceae, ito yung mga weeds or something mga plants, dathers of the alfalfa, onion, and potato. So as you can see, so pinaliputan na or something na tinali niya mismo or umakyat siya sa may bulb. Diba? That is kuskuta. Another one is yung lauraceae or it infect the shrub and trees. Inaakyat niya mismo yung trees and then kinocoveran niya yung buong trees. At ang mangyayari, mamamatay mismo yung trees and then ang magko-colonize na yung mismong climber na Cosita filiformis. Okay, the Lauraceae. Cosita filiformis. So, kinokobera niya yung buong puno. Tapos mamamatay na rin yung puno. And then we have also the Viscaceae. So, meron tayong tatlong klase ng Viscaceae. We have the Artiodulbium, Phoradendron, and Viscum. So kapag sinabi nating Arcetodium, ito yung mga dwarf mistletoe of the conifers. And then, tignan nyo, ang Arcetodium abietinum ay tumutubo mismo doon sa branch ng plants. And then, nagfa-flower na siya doon. Kaya nga tinawag siyang parasitic flowering plant. Kasi nga, ina-attach niya yung sarili niya doon sa hosts. And then, ang gagawin na lang nung mismong parasitic plant, magfa-flower siya or mag-grow. Ano? Once na nag-grow siya, yun yung mga mistletoes. Mistletoes. Oh, di ba? My toes, my knees, my shoulder, my hand. Yun. That is the mistletoe or dwarf mistletoe. And then we have also the Phoradendron or American true mistletoes. Kapag sinabi nating mistletoes, ang attached na branch niya na yung hosts. And then ang gagawin na lang ni mistletoes is to bloom a flower or mag-grow ng flower. Kaya ganito, nagmamature na siya kaagad. Ang galing ni Mistletoe, ano? And then si Viscum naman, yun yung mga European through mistletoes. So, eto ang Viscaceae. And then we have also the Orobancaceae. So, the Orobanche. So, the broom roots of legumes, solanaceous, and other plants. So, anong ginagawa naman ni Orobancaceae? Ang ginagawa ni Orobancaceae, pag tumubo si host, and then may roots siya, doon mismo sa roots, nag-grow si Orobancaceae. And then, siya yung mismong lumalaki kasi nga kinokonsume niya yung pagkain na nandun sa roots ng main hosts. Oh, as you can see here, ito sana si main hosts. And then, ang nagtitake over na doon sa nutrients ng main host or the host is the Orobancaceae or the Orobancae. So it means ay nakikisabay siya sa pag-grow. Malaki na si plants, si host, and then doon sa roots may tutubong ibang plants. So Orobancaceae ang tawag doon. Okay? The same with Scrophulariaceae or the Stringa. The same siya. Okay? The same siya. Pero dito, magfa-flower na siya. Agad-agad, nagfa-flower na si Orobancaceae. Dito naman, mag-grow pa lang siya as a plants before siya mag-mature. So, saan siya umaasa? Sa nutrients? Doon mismo sa host. Kaya tignan nyo yung host is stunted. Kasi nga, ang nag-absorb na ng nutrients is yung parasite or the parasitic flowering plant na Scrophulariaceae or the Stringa. So this is the weeds of many monocotyledonous and some legume plants. O, di ba? Sila na yung nagtitake over. Sila na yung mas lalong nag-absorb ng nutrients kaysa yung main crop. Okay? So that is for parasitic flowering plants as plant agent. So, i-discuss ko next topic natin regarding naman sa insect as a vector. Okay? So, mantabay lang tayo sa next discussions natin regarding the parasitic agent. Thank you so much guys and God bless.